Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter obviously is participating in the scouting combine this week, going both ways, wide receiver and corner. So we'll see all kinds of action from Travis Hunter this week in the NFL scouting combine. But I got to ask you, Coach Fred, if you had to give an NFL comparison for Travis Hunter, who would it be and why?
That's tough, man. I've been asked that before because I just don't know where it fits.
You almost have to go two guys because of his him being so dynamic on offense as a receiver, and then him being such an elite corner. You could almost throw two different guys. Obviously, you got the graphic here of Champ Bailey, which could be a good comparison. I just don't know if Champ Bailey played as many snaps as Travis did in college, or anybody for that matter.
He didn't.
Yeah, exactly. But if any names that you could throw out there as an NFL comparison for Travis Hunter, your thoughts? Go ahead.
The one that I had that came to mind was the one, like you said, the Champ Bailey. But Champ was a absolute dog on the defensive side of the ball. Like, Champ would come up and actually smack you consistently. And I just don't know body-wise if Travis is made up to be that type of guy, if that makes sense. Defensively. Can you imagine the Eagles push cracking everything and sending Saquon straight to him on the toss or any outside zone type run, and now he's got to come up? I just don't know how he'll fare in that consistently down after down. But Champ is who comes to mind for me. And then here's one that you may not remember for the Cardinals. I was just about to call it from LSU. He was really Peterson.
Patrick Peterson.
Patrick Peterson.
Okay.
Just electric with the ball in his hand. You know what I mean? Yeah. And Travis is that. You can't take that away from him. Once the ball is in his hand, all bets are off. It could go to the house. Really electric. Same thing where, Pat was back in his heyday as well. But Champ Bailey, to me, is probably the one that would kind of draw the most comparison because Champ did it.
Yeah, absolutely. That is true. I really like your Patrick Peterson comparison on defense. That is not somebody I thought of in my head. Man, here's someone I have on offense that I think could be an NFL comparison, and he actually played at the University of Florida, Percy Harvin. Any thoughts?
Ooh.
I just think Percy was so dynamic with the ball in his hands, like you mentioned. Travis, I feel, is kind of the same way at times. Any comparison there?
Bailey, man. Let me take you back down to your history. I'm a little older than you.
Fred.
Man, they give that thing to PRV, like from the backfield to slot. I don't see Travis lining up in the eye, and taking the inside zone,
See, that's one thing I said they should do, but that is true. They didn't line up Travis like they did Percy. They didn't let Travis return kicks like Percy. Like he had. I remember Percy's Super Bowl, return with the Seahawks too. Like Percy was doing it all the way up to the NFL. I don't know
Percy was a problem.
Yeah. Man, it's interesting. I really like your Patrick Peterson NFL comparison though for Travis on the defensive side of the ball. I think that's great. And then on offense, it's always a debate. But now let me ask you, with Travis Hunter, there's all kinds of noise coming out, all kinds of mock drafts coming out. I got to ask you, out of all the teams that are in the top, I don't think Travis should fall below 4 personally. But if you had to pick a team that's the best fit for Travis Hunter in the top 4, the top 5, who would it be and why?
Top 5, I really like it, but I know he's not going to be there. I just think Jacksonville really? Is not really that far away, man. If you look at the overall, 2 years ago, man, they were in the playoffs with an opportunity to get to the championship game. 3 years ago, maybe a little bit longer than that, but they were in the championship game. So they still have pieces. I think they still have a big cornerstone piece. I know our guy JB don't really believe in Trevor Lawrence, but Trevor's he's a franchise quarterback, and I think with what people are saying they're going to do with Travis, I think that'd be something that would go really well with with Trevor, Lawrence, the quarterback.
Mm.
And like I said, they have pieces. It's not like a rebuild completely, which I think is number one and number two. Definitely number three is a rebuild. And I didn't get a chance to really watch a lot of number four.
Yeah.
But I feel like, 1 and 2 and 3 are definitely rebuilds, more so than Jacksonville.
Ooh, and Jacksonville, I think definitely is a good spot for him. If I had to pick in the top four, because I don't know how you feel, but I don't think Travis Hunter should fall below the top three. Sean King said that on this show as well. I think he's a generational talent. I don't think he should fall. I think I would be seriously alarmed if he fell that much personally. But one team that I really think would be a good fit is pick 4, New England. And hear me out when I say this. Here we've heard so much noise the last 3 or 4 months about Travis Hunter playing both ways in the NFL, or whether he played both ways in the NFL, or certain teams that are reportedly saying, "Oh, we're only going to play him one way," or whatever the case may be. Who is New England's coach? Mike Vrabel. What has Mike Vrabel done in the NFL that I don't think any other coach has? Played both ways, at least not in the aspect Travis has, but he understands the concept of it. And I think would probably be open to the opportunity to let Travis, at least attempt playing both ways. Imagine Travis Hunter on the other side of Christian Gonzalez. I think that would be a pretty elite secondary. Also a good weapon for Drake May on offense. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, when you put it in that context, I can definitely see that happening. But I throw it back to you, what I said earlier. And is he really going to be able to hold up playing that many snaps? And I don't think anybody in the NFL is even thinking about getting close to the number of snaps on both sides of the ball. I just can't fathom that. Your number one pick playing 80 plays. I just can't fathom a franchise putting money into that. And I may be wrong, but I can't see, just because of his frame, if that makes sense, Bailey.
No, I absolutely. Travis, I mean, the one thing that he has had some injuries, during his time in Colorado, we've seen the last 2 years of him, and he is playing 150 snaps a game. Like that's real shit. It definitely, he's not perfect when it comes to the injury slate, so we've seen that. I
think interested to see what he weighs in at.
Right, and we'll find that out here pretty damn soon. Combine going down this week. Interesting. I think that if the New England Patriots draft him, they'd give him the opportunity to at least have some sort of hybrid. I don't think it's going to be 150 snaps. I would be shocked if that was the case. Now, I'm not going to say he can't do it because he did it at Colorado, and every time he seems to want to prove people wrong. So if I'm not going to say he can't. I just don't think that the teams would want that for him, and I think the teams are, when you get to the NFL, are more in control than probably college per se. So I don't know. That's my take on the whole thing. But
because Bailey is in charge of Bailey Media, he's not going to let the guy that he made his franchise player for years to come go out there and play, like you said, 100 snaps a game, coming off the field, maybe 10 snaps a game. It's a much different game when New England's playing Pittsburgh, Kansas City, Baltimore in back-to-back weeks than Colorado playing Utah, Colorado State,
that is true.
Alcorn. That's a different makeup from week to week. And again, he is a tremendous talent. Nothing against the young man, but I don't think he can hold 200 pounds, which is going to, even if they try to get him up to that, that's going to take away from what he is and who he is. So if he stays around, and I'm going to say maybe a reach at the 185, 190 mark, how many times is he going to handle that collision running into Saquon, Najee, Derrick Henry? I'm just thinking about AFC running backs,
right?
Taking Saquon out of that, but Derrick Henry, Pacheco runs heavy in Kansas City.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And what an NFL team's going to do? They're going to find a way to force a matchup that favors them. So what's the matchup? Let's see if he's going to tackle. Let's see if he handles that, consistently. And, those guys are paid a lot of money to do that. So that's the interesting thing for me when you talk about him going both ways, a gazillion snaps. Like, how long
Absolutely.
is he going to be able to do it?
Yeah. And look, last thing, sticking on Travis, last thing I'll ask you, if you're coaching him in the NFL, how would you manage a snap count? What do you think is the best scenario for him in the NFL in terms of playing on offense or defense in the snap count total?
So from my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, he's coming to the combine as a DB.
It was initially reported as that, and then like a day later, I mean, because I've been all over this and checking, the NFL has him listed as both a receiver and a DB now, and from reports, what I understand, he's going to do both in some sort of capacity. So expect to see that this week. That's what I know.
If let's say Jacksonville is taking him as a DB, I think it's only right per se. We're going to try to find plays within the game to get you in, probably no more than 10. Rather that's in decoy form fashion, in the slot, out wide, have special plays, but just not a continuous. We just came off a 12-play drive on defense, in with a punt. You go right back in there. I don't think you can do that, or nor should they at that point, because, again, that's your franchise player that you just sunk a number one pick into that you want to see around in 5 years. So
Right.
We're going to see if we can return punts. We want the ball in his hands.
Oh, yeah.
Why not? Let's see.
Matt and I were clamoring for him to return punts, return kicks. We asked Deion Sanders Jr. whether Travis Hunter would return kicks. Like, I don't know. I think definitely he would be electric as a kick returner. But I like I like that scenario for sure. I think ultimately the answer to that, it lies on what team that drafts him, and depending on what their needs are ultimately. If I had to predict now, but man, we'll find out this week in the scouting combine. See how he looks and what he runs. I think he's going to really put on a show this week. He's a unicorn to say the least. So
no doubt.